This is the Speak Easy podcast where we go behind the scenes and talking about what it means to be the successfully paid speaker or author. I'm your host, Altavis Pelzer, the voice coach, that part, a founder of the World Voice League, a community and network of female speakers coming together to impact social change. With that being said, guys, I'm excited about our guest today. Hey, Marshall.
Hey, Altavis, thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to give a nugget or two today to the audience. So thank you for having me.
So I'm gonna let y'all know this right now. So Marshall is an introvert.
Yes.
And we're going to break him all the way out of his introvertedness today.
I'm the leader of the introverts.
Look, afterwards, he can go back into his bubble. Trust me, because after the episode, I normally go back into my bubble. But he
I find that hard to believe.
Afterwards. So, Marshall, let the studio audience know a little bit about yourself, and then we'll dive into today's topic.
Yes, I'm Marshall Fox, 30 years old, married with 4 wonderful children. And of course, I'm receiving a phone call right now. I apologize. So hold on one second. Can you hear me okay? Yep. So Marshall Fox, 30 years old, 4 children. I live in Northern Maryland. I've been doing graphic design for it'll be 3 years next month. Wow. Really got thrust into this. My wife is actually the one who pushed me into this space after I had a horrible financial time 3 summers ago. She offered to go back to work, and I knew at that point that I had to make something happen. So she said, hey, what if you try out the graphic design thing? That's always been something that you've been interested in. Every time we go out and we see menus or signs or you get business cards, you're always just trashing it. Why don't you just stop talking about it? Why don't you do something about it? So, but of course, I threw out every excuse in the book. I said, I didn't go to school for this. I don't have the experience. Who's going to hire me, or do I work for myself? And I Googled the average salary, and I was like, I can't support my family off of $50,000 a year. I had 2 kids at the time, and my wife's a stay-at-home mom. I said, you know what? I'll go for it. So I actually approached someone on an online community that I'm in, and I said, hey, man, I see you have a logo. You mind if I redesign your logo? I think I could give it a nicer look. And he said, yeah, man, go for it. You would be a blessing to me. So I did that. And once he shared it in the community that we're both a part of and on his LinkedIn network, that's when things just blew up. So by the grace of God, I got referral after referral after referral, and I've literally been busy ever since. So that's kind of how I got thrust into this. And I do recognize that it is a gift of mine. So that's something that I guess I have in my pocket that a lot of people do, because I don't want to get too far into it, but it's people that are gifted at things and they're not doing what they're gifted at. And then we have people who are passionate about things that they're doing, but they're not gifted at it. So I just have that on my side, that I'm passionate about something that I happen to be gifted at. So things may come a little easier to me than they would for somebody else. So my initial client base have been authors, speakers, and coaches. So I've kind of been in that realm ever since. So I had the benefit of knowing what the pain points and challenges are of that audience. So that's what I spend my time addressing. So I love what I do. I do it 80, 90 hours a week. So you can't not love it when you do it like that. Just like anybody else, have been through periods of burnout, but I've learned a lot over the past 3 years. Recently reached my 10,000 hours. So I'm excited about that. And I think it shows. So yeah, I mean, that's a little backstory.
He said that's a little backstory. That's a lot of backstory. I had the opportunity to connect with Marshall through Brian, which is the founder of Black Speakers Network. Also, I got to see his amazing work when it came to doing the book, the anthology Speak Up. And when I tell you, the cover of this book just blew everybody away. And again, his attention to detail, you could see his passion within it. And man, it spoke volumes. So, okay, you decide that you're going to start this business, and when it comes to branding, you got to figure out how you're going to brand yourself. So what were the first 3 things that you had to do when it came to branding your own business?
Well, really before that, I mean, when I started out, it was Marshall Fox Design. I just branded my name, put design after it. But initially, I have to share this. So everything was brand new to me when I started. Like I didn't know how much to charge, and everything I was doing was the first time I was doing it. So the logo that I did for the individual, he's also in the anthology, Robert YB Youngblood. He was my first client, my free client. So, and that was the first logo that I had really ever done. So, I was figuring things out on the fly, trying to make use of what I had. But what I call it now, I call it the Fox freelance formula. I call it just the freelance formula. So even though I was doing things for free initially or discounted, I wanted to get a few specific things from those initial clients. So I wanted to get a dope portfolio piece, of course. I wanted to get a really dope testimonial. Also wanted to get, of course, like some referrals and hopefully repeat paid business. So those are the things that I kind of sought out to receive. And even I tell my speaker clients this, when they're getting started as a speaker, they may have to do the same thing. They may have to go and speak for free or discounted rates, but they should get some awesome video footage, get some testimonials. So it kind of transcends different industries getting started. So I had to do that initially, and that those initial clients, and I thank God for them to this day, because they I don't even really know how to say it. Like they really took the time. They really put their trust in me at a time where I didn't really have anything to show them. So it's like I'm indebted to them forever for that, because I had a couple people turn me away, say, hey, I don't really see. I don't really see anything. Like, I don't really know what you can do. So I can't spend money with you. And I understand that, but it was some people who really, they put their trust in me, and I thank God for them to this day. So those steps is really what got me started. Initially, I was branded as Marshall Fox Design, then it kind of transitioned over to 120 Design Studio a few months after that, because I partnered with Eric Thomas, the motivational speaker. So when I was in his community initially, that's when I kind of got my start. But I added tremendous value into the community. Then they approached me and said, hey, why don't we join forces? We can put some people under you, help you automate and systematize some things. So that's when we formed 120 Design Studio, January of 2017. So that's kind of how everything shifted. And honestly, about the brand piece, the first year, the brand, I don't want to say it was a mess, but it was like really aggressive. It was in your face. It was kind of like an imprint of Eric Thomas in a way. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like red, black, boom. So, but over that year, I'm like, well, this isn't really me. You know what I'm saying? So like now with the color palette, you see we have the maroon, the navy. It's a little more chill, laid back, like myself. That piece, I kind of have shifted our brand to that and have been running with that ever since. And I feel it's more authentic now.
You spoke to a really important piece, because especially as speakers, as authors, making that shift is a really scary one, simply because you say, well, people have connected with me in this area, in this instance, they connected with that part of the brand, or, that's what made them show up. Are they going to continue to stay? Did you deal with that when you were making that transition?
So you're saying, can you just rephrase it for me?
Sure. So when you first did your brand and how you were shifting it to fit more of your personality, right, did you ever have a moment where you thought, I might lose a few people because of this?
I did think that initially, but I knew that they were going to connect more authentically to me as a person with this new direction versus what it was before. So if I did lose anybody, they just weren't for me. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to create a more genuine connection with my clients. And I wanted the brand to connect with the clients a little more than it had. So if anybody was to roll out, then, it would have been their loss. So I really wasn't too worried about that, but yeah, that did cross my mind. But at the end of the day, it's all about being genuine, and people can feel that, not only with you, but you'd be surprised. A lot of our businesses online, but people can still feel your energy, especially when you talk to them and you work with them. They can tell whether you're genuine or not. And then they can tell, obviously, when your brand doesn't really fit who you are, or at least your visual brand doesn't. So that's what I was trying to accomplish with kind of, I guess, our rebrand or whatnot.
Definitely. I love it. So now the speaking piece of it, first and foremost, congrats on, just having that connection to be able to work with Eric Thomas. And I love that, you said, well, listen, look, I was in the community first. I didn't just come in and say, hey, E.T., I'm your boy. I'm your man. Let's do this. No, you came in serving first. Mm-hmm. And, that speaks volumes. So for someone who's coming into the industry as a speaker, do you see that being something that they could do as well as, serving first? Okay, well, finding ways that they can get their name out there, mm-hmm. Outside of just speaking.
Absolutely. So what we call it, at least in my area, is we call it getting your reps in. So sometimes you just have to get your reps in. And I actually joined that community after I left my full-time job managing a fraud investigations team at a credit union. And I was getting into insurance at the time. So that's when I joined the community. So it wasn't like, I joined it because I'm going to try to find me some clients. Like it was no ulterior motives. I joined just for personal development reasons. I really wasn't trying to make any new connections as an introvert. I'm like, I'm good. I got enough friends. You know what I'm saying? But things ended up happening. And I made one connection that literally changed my life in YB. But like I said, from that point on, and I was relatively quiet for the first few months in the community because it's mostly online on Facebook in a private group. I wasn't really contributing. But when I did that and I made that shift in my mindset and in my career, I just began to serve. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of my initial clients, they got things either free or at a steal, because they were helping me just as much as I was helping them. I was figuring things out. I didn't know how much to charge for a logo, book cover, website. I didn't know. They were helping me out. They were patient with me. My communication hasn't been the best, and they even still probably could use some work, but they were really patient with me. So, I just serve. And then next thing you know, ETA, so this Eric Thomas and Associates, the company, they reached out and they said, hey, we see what you're doing in the community. Thank you for, I guess, filling this void. It was an untapped niche. And he asked me to do some things with them. It was shortly after that they approached me. And to be honest, I wasn't ready. Like I wasn't going to just jump and do it. I had to talk to my wife about it. I had to pray about it because I was like, you know what? I got my own thing going. I think I'm good. Like I don't need to be, partnered with Eric Thomas. Like I think I'm good. I appreciate everything that they've done, but I prayed about it, and it was revealed to me that, let's say I did it for a year and things didn't work out. I'm sure I would be further along than I would if I tried to do it on my own. You know what I'm saying? I recognize the value in Eric Thomas and his movement. I'm in the community for a reason. So, I thought it would be good. And even to this day, I try not to ride off his coattails at all. You know what I'm saying? And people get on me because they're like, man, you surrounded by all that juice and you don't use it. I'm like, I know, but I don't, me and my little introverted ways, and I'm a guy that kind of shoulders a lot of load on my own. I try to figure things out on my own, but I'm doing better when it comes to that. But that wasn't initially the goal, but it just happened. The universe just allowed that to happen, and it's been a tremendous blessing. And I'll just say this for the speakers: like if you serve, even if you aren't speaking, just do something. You know what I'm saying? Just do something that is in alignment with who you truly are as a person. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like that community brought the real me out of me. So I was just being authentically me, and the universe just moved and things just magically happen because you'll never know what can happen. And if I never decided to pursue my passion and my gift, I most likely never would have made that connection in YB. And since then, we've become like brothers. I'm like, wow, like I made a life-changing connection and it formed a lifelong bond with someone that had I not decided to be my authentic self and who I truly am and what value I bring to the world, then I wouldn't have made this connection. So he's changed my life and I'm in turn trying to change his life. And together we're working on some things that's going to change other people's lives. We're both in this book together, and it's crazy because he's the one that got me into this space. And now I partner with Black Speakers Network and design a book cover that we both have chapters in. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. But he's the one that kind of made things happen for me. So yeah, I'm sorry getting off track a little bit, but
oh no, that's fine. Because see, what people fail to realize is that when you take the opportunity to serve, is that you're sowing a seed.
Absolutely.
That time, that energy, that dedication to something, you're sowing a seed, and you're going to get a return back on that investment of time and energy. It's not always about the money. I went literally years and years where I was always behind the scenes. As an introvert, introverts united. Listen. As an introvert, I was always behind the scenes. One of my good girlfriends did a play, and man, everything that I could do, I was doing behind the scenes. I was on stage for one thing, and then everything else was behind the scene. Like I was helping her to make sure that it flowed, and that was always me. But it was the same thing. After a certain amount of time of you making those investments, at some point there's a shift that happens, and you become the face of the brand. You step out in front, and then opportunities like the book anthology, and you speak. I got to see him speak in Baltimore, y'all. And he tried to act all shy on stage, but he actually did an amazing job, because it's your passion. And it comes across when you stand in front of people and you're showing up authentic. That's going to resonate with people each and every time. Each and every time. So we started the business. You made this connection with YB that just completely, expanded some things for you. Where do you see yourself going when it comes to you personally speaking? Do you see yourself doing some 5,000 in the crowd type events where you're on stage, or are you just going to leave that for everybody else?
What's crazy about that question is when we first met a few months ago at the book release, I would have said no. I would have said definitely not. But where I am now and where I see myself going, I would have to say yes, because I reached a point in just my career and just doing a lot of prayer and soul searching, like about what my purpose really is with this whole graphic design thing. Because it kind of found me, honestly. And things happen so fast, and I've just been ripping and running ever since that I never really had the time to sit down and think about what is the goal. But recently I'm thinking, like, I want to have an impact. I want to make an impact. One example is there's just not a lot of representation of people of color in this space, and those who are in the space, the majority of us, we're struggling. To be frank, we're not charging what we're worth. We're doing $50 logos and flyers and whatnot. When, it's plenty of money to be made out here. There are plenty of companies and brands who need what we offer. They need our gifts, and we're shortchanging ourselves. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of information that I've gained over the past almost 3 years and 10,000 hours that I'm looking to share with the freshman class. So those who are looking to come in and learn how to build their business, build their graphic design, or even their freelance business. So that's what I'm looking forward to more now than I was, I guess, a few months ago. So, you never know. I mean, I could see myself doing that.
So I'm looking at the studio audience. They are loving the conversation. And Brittany said, this is right on time. I just told someone that I have been behind the scenes for a while, and it's time for me to shift to the front. And someone else said, this is good. So it's the thing about it is that as introverts, most times we aren't out in the forefront. We aren't, telling people, listen, introverts are winning.
Yes.
I've had numerous introverts come on who are CEOs, who have 6 and 7 figure businesses, who are doing some phenomenal things. I had the founder of Zero Shoes on as a guest, and I'm like, listen, the people that were behind the scenes, the ones that were considered weird, the introverts, the quiet, we're winning.
Yes, we are.
We're winning. There is nothing wrong with it. We are winning. But having that strategy, having other introverts come up and say, or just having, like you said, having other African-American young men, because you said you were 30. Said, oh my goodness. Wow. To be able to accomplish everything that you've accomplished so far at the age of 30, that speaks volumes.
It's all God. All God.
That speaks volumes. And guess what? That's exactly what they need to hear. They need to hear that whole thing. Being able to do everything you've done under the age of 30, and it was all God. Because there's so many of, especially our youth right now, that look up and say, oh no, I just gotta have this, and no, I just gotta eat this, and I just gotta be able to do this, and I'm gonna see all this success because of it. And they're missing that last piece. They're missing that last piece. And they don't realize how much that last piece literally influences everything else. That's the catalyst.
Yep, absolutely.
That's the catalyst. I love it. So like I said, they're loving it. They're watching and they're loving it, that part. So I want you to, let's talk a little bit about the branding piece, because we know as speakers and authors, there's a lot that comes with branding. I know with authors, like I said, when you did the book cover for Speak Up, that completely shifted my whole life, because I had never seen a book cover look that amazing. And especially in today's age where people are doing a lot of self-publishing and they think, oh, I can just go and make something on Canva. What's the benefits of working with Marshall Fox, as opposed to trying to do it yourself? You tell me the benefits from your perspective.
Well, it really depends on where you are, because I will say, if you haven't done things on your own yet, you're probably not ready for us unless you have a really big budget or something like that. Because 99%, like we're so dialed into our target market, and it's crazy how God works. Because before we even started this recording, you were telling us who your audience was. I'm like, wow, it's like you're reading from our little avatar sheet. Because a lot of our clients, they're newer authors, they're newer speakers, 1 to 3 years experience. A lot of them still have their full-time jobs. They don't do this they don't speak full-time yet. We have the average income dialed in, and when they work with us, 9 times out of 10, they've been doing it on their own. They've been using Fiverr, Canva, friends and family, homies, anybody to do what they need to get done. But stuff is kind of all over the place, and they've reached a point now where they realize if they want to go to the next level and they're really taking themselves serious, it's time to really invest in their brand. So this is the first time they're doing it monetarily on this level. I mean, we're not the most expensive firm out there, but we're not cheap either. So if they're married or in a relationship, they 100% have to check with their spouse, and then their spouse or partner may not be all the way in, but they'll go ahead and give them the green light. And then once they get the final product, then they're fully bought in. So, I mean, it really just depends on where you are at the time. Like I said, if you haven't tried to do things on your own, you're probably not ready just yet. Though I will say some clients, they surprise us. They come and they're ready to rock and roll. But a lot of the time, we're the next step up from once you've been trying to do things on your own and you realize, okay, I want a nice, clean, cohesive brand, at least visually, because your brand is not your logo. It's not your website. It's more of your reputation and what people say about you when you're not in the room. So you have one, whether you know it or not, whether you put anything out, you have a brand. So what we try to help with is the visual aspect of that brand. So we just want to create what we call a design language, a clean, cohesive, consistent look and feel across all of your touch points. So of course that starts with your logo. That's like the anchor of your visual brand. And then it kind of spreads from there to your website, to your business cards, your book covers. And I'll say this, I may be jumping ahead, but I'll see a lot of people in this space, especially newer speakers, they feel like they need to have themselves on the front of the cover. And I don't want to ruffle any feathers, but you don't. It really depends on who your market is and who you're trying to sell to. Because I have a lot of clients who their market is corporate professionals or businesses. And believe it or not, those businesses, unless you're like a Tony Robbins or, a Eric Thomas or someone, they may get turned off by having you on the cover and no one knows who you are, even if the material is fire. So you may be better suited to not have a picture of yourself on the cover. Of course, throw it on the back if you want, but go on Barnes and Nobles, just go on Amazon. I know Barnes and Noble is kind of on its way out, but go on Amazon and look at the top selling books. You'll be surprised. 90% of them, they don't have a photo of someone on the cover. but you're still attracted to it and you'll still buy it. You want to read those reviews. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to throw that out there really quick.
I just let the studio audience know. I hope y'all got that nugget.
Yeah, because people do that. They think it's the thing to do, and
exactly.
But you don't have to. You know what I'm saying? Even when you look at what I did with the Speak Up cover, I still wanted to have everybody represented, but it's kind of faded in the background. If you look at it at a glance, you wouldn't even really realize it's 40 people on that cover. But it's still still has the same appeal. You take everybody off the cover, it's still just as effective. You know what I'm saying? So,
and that literally speaks to, as an author, I know we want to say that we're writing, we're writing for us, right? We're writing because we want to share our heart. But can we be honest? Your cover is for your audience.
Absolutely. And everything is your logo, your graphics is not for you. Of course, you should feel proud about it. You should feel confident in it, but it's not for you. If it doesn't speak to your audience, we miss the mark. And every design decision that we make, it has to quickly and effectively speak to your target audience first and foremost. That's the most important thing. The messaging, honestly, is more important than the design. I can make things look pretty, but if we don't get the messaging right, but we got something pretty, you're not getting paid. And you trying to get paid. If you're watching this, you need to be getting paid. So unless you're running a ministry out here, like, you can have, terrible design and good messaging and be more effective than great design and no messaging. So that's a big piece of it as well. So that's something that we try to uncover at the beginning of the process. And honestly, a lot of our clients, they don't really have that figured out. They know what their topic is or what have you, but they don't know what the overarching goal is or the mission is that we're trying to accomplish. So we try to take the time to flesh all that out during the discovery process, and everything that we do design wise, like it stems from that.
So it's interesting. So I have been someone that has used a graphic designer. I've been someone that's used at Fiverr. I've been somebody that's used a friend. And one of the things that you just said that really stands out that I want people to take note of is he said that he goes through and helps you to draw that out. A lot of times we go in just thinking, let me show them an idea of something that I saw, and we'll just go from there. And so do you have a lot of people that come in and they're like, oh, I saw this cover and I want you to replicate this?
Well, think about it like this. It's like going to the doctor and saying, I saw this on WebMD. This is what I have. I think this is what I have. And the doctor say, oh, hey, well, hold on, pump your brakes. I'm the specialist here. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's see let me see what you have going on and let me diagnose you. And I'm sure all of us, especially those on this call, have been wrong. I've been wrong every time I go in there thinking I got something going on. It's something completely different. It's just like that. So we'll listen to what you have going on, and sometimes your idea, it may fit perfectly in line with the direction that we're headed design wise, but in a lot of cases it doesn't. So and what we like to do, at least with our logo projects, is we'll create a few different concepts, and if we may do what you suggested, but 9 times out of 10 you'll just scrap that and just go with one of the ones that we create from scratch. And in other cases, we may have an element or two from your idea that we incorporate into the larger design. But with any project, we have like a detailed questionnaire that we go through, and we want to know what logos you like, what you don't like, what visual cues and imagery and symbolism that you like included. So we take all that into consideration. So it's never an instance of we're just like, no, bump that, we're doing our own thing. No, we still respect you and what you have going on, because it's been your business up to this point, but we're still the experts at the end of the day when it comes to this side. So we want to make sure that we create something that speaks to your audience. It's simple, it's memorable, it's timeless, it's versatile and appropriate as well. So if it doesn't hit all those criteria, then it's not a 120 design.
that speaks to so many different things. You know, I absolutely love this whole conversation. And one of the things that I always ask everybody that comes on is, in your journey so far, has there been anything that was a blunder for you where you look back right now and you can say, okay, that wasn't the best choice right there?
Oh, plenty of those. Come on now. I probably got more blunders than I got.
The more successes, right?
One thing that sticks out is I thought I had a hit, Alter Beast. Man, look, if people on here that are watching this and they know me, they know what I'm talking about. So I had this idea for this locked in shirt. I just knew it was gonna be a hit. It's a play off LinkedIn, but it's like locked in. And it was a huge fail. And I still got the shirt sitting around here. Like, I spent almost $1,000 on these shirts, and thinking it was just gonna be a huge hit. And I think with the major lesson I learned from that is where I was going to sell them at different events. I had conflicting messaging. So it's like, are you going to get clients, or are you going to, sell shirts? Like, which one are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Are you going as a design studio, or are you going as a t-shirt shop? You know what I'm saying? So, that was a huge L, and it still stings to this day. I've actually partnered with somebody who's actually going to sell them in his community. So, it may not be a L in the future, but as of right now, that's one of the ones that I think about. A lot of, financials, doing too much spending, stuff that I really don't need or you think you need. And that's another lesson. Like, you got to start with what you have. You don't always need the nicest and latest stuff. Like, for example, I'm on a MacBook Pro from 2015. I just bought this thing in December. You know what I'm saying? And I could get any computer I wanted right now. But I was like, you know what? I don't need something brand new. And, I like to, not to get too nerdy, but the MacBook for 2015, I think that's the best MacBook. But I got it was used, $1,000. And the newest stuff is $3,000. And I have an iMac here that's collecting dust, like literally collecting dust, because I thought I needed it. I thought I had to look cool and, be that guy with the big iMac on desk, 2 monitors and the whole 9. I did it for a time, but I'm like, I don't need that. Right now, I prefer mobility. I want to be with my family. I want to be able to head upstairs and chill and work on the couch, in the bedroom if I need to on the road. So I would say start with what you have. Don't worry about the latest and greatest and what everybody else is doing, because like as you get going in this thing, whatever it is, speaking or what have you, you'll realize what's most important and what's not important. So, and what's most important is making an impact. So with me, the way that I do that, how I'm most comfortable doing that is with this old computer.
So I absolutely, again, love this interview. You guys are going to hear and see Marshall doing more speaking events. I'm speaking it, even if he didn't speak it. I'm speaking. I'm speaking it, even if he didn't. Simply because if you've been listening in, you've heard some of the powerful nuggets that he has to offer. Not just our young men, college students, high school students. Listen, I need y'all to start reaching out, because you're going to need him at some of these events that you guys are going to be putting together. I'm just saying. That's just my opinion. With that being said, let them know how they can connect with you, Marshall, and how they can find out more information about 120 Design.
Yeah, so you can reach me at 120designstudio.com. So that's the number 120designstudio.com. I'm also on Facebook at 120 Design Studio, or just type in Marshall Fox. On Instagram at Marshall Fox. So that's 2 L's on Marshall and 1 X on Fox, if you don't know. And also at 120 Design Studio on Instagram, and 120 Design Studio and Marshall Fox on LinkedIn as well.
Great. And guys, this is the thing. I always want you guys to understand that, again, as a speaker, as an author, you are also an entrepreneur. You are also a business entity. You are. And you need to start looking at what it is that you do and what it is you have as a business. That part, I know a lot of times that's not the first thing on our minds. The first thing on our minds is, how can we get this money and how can we secure this bag? But we have to also make sure that we're presenting ourselves in such a way that people want to just come and have us at their events. We're not just chasing down opportunities, because we don't always need to chase down opportunities. With that being said, if you are a speaker and author and you are ready to take it to a whole nother level, I am throwing it out there. Because I have seen his work, I trust Marshall in what he does. That speaks volumes. I trust him in what he does. Go talk to Marshall. I cannot shout that loud enough from the mountaintops. Go talk to Marshall. It's definitely going to make a huge impact for your brand and your business. Also, if you are a speaker and author, I would love to have you on as a guest so that way we can talk about your success journey, or maybe not so successful journey, in trying to reach that paid speaker and author opportunity. You can go and to bit.ly/Speakeasy Podcast, all lowercase, in order for you to pick a date that works best for you. That part. And I am your host, the hostess with the mostest, Out to be Spelzer, the voice coach, founder of the World Voice League, a virtual network of female speakers coming together to impact social change. That part, guys. And until next time, don't forget to press it out. See ya.